燃え上がれガンダム。
まだ怒りに燃える闘志があるなら巨大な敵を撃てよ撃てよ撃てよ正義の怒りをぶつけろガンダム機動戦士ガンダム
Hello and welcome to Weekly Suit Gundam, the special bonus podcast brought to you by the folks at the Weekly Stuff Podcast. I'm Sean Chapman.
And I'm Jonathan Lack.
And we are here once again to dive into the wacky and wonderful world of Gundam.
And this week is just a short, quick little bonus episode for you with an excerpt from this week's Weekly Stuff Podcast, where we talked about two major pieces of Gundam news from the past few weeks. The announcement that Mobile Suit Gundam Hathaway will be debuting worldwide on Netflix very soon, on July 1st, and the reveal of a brand new Gundam SEED movie coming from the original creative team. We knew both of these items would be of interest to listeners, so we thought we'd throw this excerpt in the podcast feed for those who don't listen to the Mothership show. And just to clarify the schedule for the immediate future, our next episode of Weekly Suit Gundam will be on Thursday, June 24th, and it will be our second anniversary spectacular episode where we'll be adding all the shows we reviewed this past year to our official ongoing rankings and list some of our favorite songs and mobile suits and more, all that good stuff. It'll be a lot of fun, and then the next episode after that will be basically a week later with our review of the Hathaway movie, which will come out on Monday, July 5th, just a few days after the movie debuts on Netflix. And then after all that, we're moving on to Gundam AGE later in July. So tons of good stuff to come. We hope to see you there for all of it. For now, let's go over to the news. Let's do some Gundam news.
Gundam news?
There has been a little bit of Gundam news this last 2 weeks, Sean. Two things. Let's take the easy one first, which is that Mobile Suit Gundam Hathaway's Flash, Senko no Hathaway, or just Hathaway in English because we can't have good things in English. It is out in Japan right now. It came out June 11th. This is the first film of a planned trilogy adapting Tomino's Hathaway's Flash novels. And so it is out in Japan now, and on the day it came out in Japan, we got an announcement from Netflix, along with a new trailer, that it will be streaming exclusively worldwide on Netflix starting July 1st, less than a month after the Japanese release, which means that very soon on the podcast, we will have our first Weekly Suit Gundam about a brand new piece of Gundam, which feels pretty good to me, Sean.
Yes, it's weird that we'll be getting to a piece of Gundam that is released after the podcast started already. It's a lot sooner than I expected, because I expected we would get this like a limited theatrical release like 6 months to a year after it came out in Japan and like that whole rigmarole. So it is really nice. It's one of the great things about anime slowly taking over the world is that
everyone wants it.
Yeah, everyone wants it. Like everyone wants anime content on their platform. So Netflix grabbing that. That's great. I already have a Netflix, or my parents already have a Netflix, and I have the password to their account. So sign me up. I'll be there July 1st to watch this fucking movie, and then we can podcast about it.
Absolutely. I'm a little disappointed we're not getting any kind of theatrical release. I would love to go see this on the big screen. I mean, fucking Demon Slayer was such a pleasure to go see that way. It would be very nice. End of the day, the benefits definitely outweigh that because it's a global simultaneous release, very easy to access. All of our listeners will be able to watch along with us. It'll be a really cool moment to be able to do this. And yeah, just knowing, I mean, 2 weeks from now, Sean, we will have a brand new Gundam movie, something I think we've all wanted adapted for a long time. And it looks great. It looks so cool. I'm excited to also just bust out my Char's Counterattack Blu-ray and rewatch that ahead of this because it's effectively a sequel to that. And yeah, that'll be that is scheduled right now for Monday, July 5th, the Monday after this movie comes out. We will have our Hathaway's Flash podcast. That will be the podcast that week on Weekly Suit Gundam. It'll also be in the weekly stuff feed. So inevitably, I'm going to be getting tweets starting any minute now about when are you doing the Hathaway podcast? Monday, July 5th. The first opportunity, we will be doing it. I promise, right?
Yes. No, but we're not going to wait until another year or something until we get around to that. Yeah, we might as well just do it now.
We're doing it. It's going to be great. I'm very excited. And it's interesting Netflix is doing this. So obviously everyone now is competing for anime because it is so big globally. Netflix has been doing a lot of big moves. I think probably the most prominent one was getting Neon Genesis Evangelion. But they've done lots of stuff. They've got their various live action adaptations coming out. In other Sunrise news, the Cowboy Bebop show announced that they're getting Yoko Kanno back to do the fucking music for Cowboy Bebop, which I was already kind of looking forward to that show because of John Cho, and it looks pretty good. But that is definitely good news. And of course, Netflix is producing the live-action Gundam movie alongside Legendary. I assume that if they got this, they probably will have the other Hathaway movies. So I'm curious. Like, when there's another Gundam TV show, where that goes. Is that going to be something that's simulcast on Crunchyroll, or is Netflix going to get it the way they've done some other stuff?
Yeah, because, I mean, there are some shows that are both on Netflix and Crunchyroll. So I know Iron Blood Orphans is on both. But I think I suspect that the reason why this happened is I'm betting that Unicorn Gundam does really well on Netflix.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that is, like, most similar to this in terms of, like, they're, it's a longer series, but they're effectively movies. And it's a similar, like, sort of style of animation, at least judging by the trailers. That is my guess why Netflix probably specifically wanted to get Hathaway, is I think... I know that, like, Unicorn Gundam is one of the main ways that people get into Gundam, specifically through Netflix these days. So,
and Netflix is adding ahead of Hathaway the original Gundam movie trilogy and Char's Counterattack. So if you need to catch up, that's pretty cool. Those are not always the easiest things to find. So there you go.
Yep, very good. Gundam is good, and I'm glad to have new Gundam.
And speaking of new Gundam, this was a big announcement. At the unveiling of the Gundam SEED statue in Japan. Where in Japan was that? I forget.
It's not in Japan. It's, I think maybe it's in Shanghai. It's in China.
Right, it's in China. Okay. But at the unveiling of this statue, they announced that we are getting a Mobile Suit Gundam SEED movie from the original director. With well, actually, Sean, why don't you explain the whole backstory behind this? Because there's a lot going on here.
Yes. So, as a recap for people who have not listened to our Gundam SEED podcasts, or who did and have forgotten, Gundam SEED is the series that came out early 2000s as a kind of updated version of Gundam, but it's mostly original story. And they did Gundam SEED, really popular, well received, really great show. Then they do a sequel to that called Gundam SEED Destiny, which, in terms of, like, commercial reception, does just fine. It is not a good show, though. It is a bad show, and I do not like it. And that comes out by the same creative team. And after SEED Destiny, a movie entered pre-production with Chiaki, I think Moriyama is her name. I don't have it brought up. But it's the director Fukuda's wife. She did a story treatment because she was the main writer for SEED and SEED Destiny. She was also very ill. She was ill through most of the production of SEED Destiny, and that illness clearly affected the production of the movie. And then several years ago, she passed away, and Fukuda has not done anything with Gundam SEED since. And so that movie kind of entered some form of development hell. 2 years ago, during the 40th anniversary, there was a big concert where TM Revolution, who is one of the main musical artists involved with Gundam SEED and did a bunch of the theme songs, he said that movie was still in production. I did not believe him, because that seems like the kind of thing that, like, happens all the time, is someone tangentially connected to the some kind of project hears that, like, oh no, yeah, Team Revolution, we're definitely still working on that, don't worry, you'll hear from us soon, and nothing ever comes of it. That just seems like a thing that happens all the time in entertainment. Well, I was wrong to doubt him, because now they're saying this is exactly what is happening. It is that movie project that started after SEED Destiny, which is a sequel to those original two shows. It is based at least on the story treatment. I have no idea. I don't know if anyone knows other who's involved in the project. like how much of an actual script was written versus a story treatment, but we know that there was a story treatment done, and that it's going to be following that. It's going to be directed by Fukuda, who is the director for Seed and Seed Destiny. Presumably the cast will all reprise their roles and that kind of stuff, all that thing. And then this is also part of a broader push for, there's like a new manga series happening. There's going to be a Gundam SEED video game, which I have no idea what form that will take, because that could mean a lot of different things. But there's a lot of different things they're doing for Gundam SEED because it's going to be a big anniversary for it. So yeah, this movie is crazy. It's like I can't believe that they're actually doing it, because it just has been such a long time since Seed Destiny, and anything like new in like a big way in that whole like universe, I really don't know what to expect from this at all. I have no idea how it's going, like if it's going to be the main characters from those shows, no idea. Is it going to follow up on plot threads from Seed Destiny? Absolutely no idea whatsoever. But it is going to be a sequel set after those stories, is as much as we know.
Yes, so they are calling the working title for this whole kind of suite of things is Mobile Suit Gundam SEED Project Ignited, which is great. I hope that's just the name of the movie. I love that. And yeah, you're getting the manga, video game, and this movie. Yeah, we know nothing right now, but in terms of wild speculation, I guess the first thing I will say is when it was first announced, before like Fukuda got on mic and like said, yes, we're doing the treatment by my late wife, all of this stuff. I think there was some speculation about like, are they just going to ignore Destiny? Is it going to be a straight, what are they going to do here? I, like you, do not really like Gundam SEED Destiny. I have a lot of problems with it. I am glad that this is the straight continuation. I'm glad that they're not going back and fucking with continuity. I am like, love it or hate it, Destiny is the sequel to Gundam SEED. It is canon. They did it. I think it is best to try to make lemonade out of those lemons. And I think there's plenty of potential. And I am glad we're going to see whatever they were planning on doing. Because whether it's good or bad or somewhere in the middle, I'm just glad that like we're going to see sort of the next phase in this story that they were thinking about back then. Because SEED is, even at its best, not my favorite Gundam. But it's a Gundam with a lot of things I like. And I think especially the potential to do a movie now with better animation than was available in the early days of digital animation when they did Seed and Seed Destiny is a very appealing thing. And you know, I do think those shows are well directed, even at their worst. I think Fukuda is a very talented anime director. I'm looking forward to seeing how 30 minutes into the movie we'll get flashbacks to 5 minutes into the movie. And that'll just happen throughout the film. It'll be a 4-hour anime movie, the first one ever made. It'll be very long because of all the flashbacks. But definitely, like, this is a cool thing. Gundam hasn't done a lot of looking backwards with AU stuff historically.
Almost never. Like, at least in terms of animated productions. Obviously, they'll do spin-offs where it's like, oh, here's a random Gundam Wing manga spin-off. Here's this, that, and the other thing. But in terms of animated productions, it's basically unheard of. You don't go back and revisit spent universes or something, because most of those AU projects are never designed to be things that leave those holes or that are meant to be ongoing projects, and neither was Gundam SEED originally. The only reason why Seed Destiny happened is because Gundam SEED was stupidly popular. But that kind of like opened up this whole realm of having a different universe that has ongoing projects in the anime space, and that ended up never really going very far, obviously, for a lot of different reasons. So yeah, it's interesting to see the franchise go back and revisit a setting that is not just going to be Universal Century Gundam. And it is exciting to me that we get this opportunity of saying, hey, let's go back and let's talk about coordinators. Maybe we'll find out what the whole deal was with the fucking like weird space whale fossil that is like in the background of a bunch of shots in Gundam SEED, and it's never really commented on in any way. But there's just like, I mean, they encountered a fossil of extraterrestrial life on the moon is a part of the canon of Gundam SEED. It's just never really brought into the main story in any way. Maybe that's it. Maybe we're fated now for just like the animated Gundam AU movies are just all about aliens. And so you got aliens in Awakening of the Trailblazer. Maybe this is about Attack of the Space Whales. Who knows?
Who knows? I hope they rehabilitate Kira in my eyes and make him sufferable instead of insufferable. And I do hope they do something with Sheen and do something to you know, maybe make him more of a character. But there's a lot of room in that world to play, and I think what makes me excited is it feels to me from the comments that we've gotten from the people involved that the people who are making this are excited and hungry to make it. And if that's the case, I am on board to see what they have in store for us, and I am 100% behind letting them kind of play that vision out and give it a chance, and that sounds exciting to me. And, people really like SEED. It's not my favorite, but it is popular, and it is worth giving another chance, and I am curious to see what kind of impact this has when it comes out. And, there's a lot of Gundam movie stuff happening right now, because we've got 2 more Hathaway movies to go. We've got Tomino's series of the G-Reco movies still coming out. Those got delayed by COVID. I think the 3rd one is out-ish or something, but there are 5 of those planned. So Gundam is going to be in theaters in quite a big way over the next couple of years.
Yeah, and it does then leave this whole of I'm curious what the next mainline Gundam series is going to be, because it feels like it's about time for them to announce that, because they've been doing build series the entire time, but we haven't had a mainline proper Gundam series in a while. So
yeah, when does Iron Blooded Orphan end? Is that 2016?
Right around there, I think 2015 or 16. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a long time. Jeez. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, anyway, Weekly Suit Gundam, we've got a lot coming for you. So there you go. Gundam will not stop, and I for one couldn't be happier.
Yes, I've more Gundam always, please. Let's keep it going.
アムロ振り向かないで宇宙の彼方に輝く星はアムロお前の生まれたふるさとだ覚えているかい少年の日のことを暖かいぬくもりの中で目覚めた朝をアムロ振り向くなアムロ男は涙を見せぬもの見せぬものただ明日へと明日へと永遠